The thing was, I noticed that these lectures and rants finally started resonating, and he started taking more action consistently after. Hey brother, if you clicked onto this video hoping for some quick easy answer, then I'm happy to tell you the hard truth of it is that you're probably like 6 to 12 months away from the point you want to be at where people start actually listening to your advice. You probably feel that based on the self-improvement knowledge and tools and lessons, etc. that you've learned through these YouTube videos, through reading the right books, through taking the right courses, etc. Like whenever your friends or family are like complaining about something or they have some issue that they need help with, that you know the exact, and you know it 100% in your own mind, that you can give them the advice that if they followed, it would solve the problem that they're talking about. You probably 1,000,000% feel confident that if they just did this, everything would be better for them. I know this because I've been there, man. I spent years, seriously years, giving advice to a couple of friends and family when they would complain about XYZ, you know, anything under the sun, like dating, studying tips, literally anything, because I would binge every different kind of productivity, finance, dating, self-improvement videos. And so I would hear these complaints or these issues, whatever, from my loved ones, complaining about whatever issue they had, like, man, like this girl isn't texting me back, or man, how do I give a fuck about studying about this test, or like, man, why the fuck do I waste all of my time? And I would give them these great giant rants and lectures on the tips that I learned and how I implemented them myself to solve these exact same problems. I had anecdotal evidence that these tips I were giving worked and that they would work for my friends as well, right? The thing is though, I would always get frustrated at the fact that I would be engaging the person that I spoke with great lessons, and I would be 1,000,000% confident that it would help them too. But for some reason, they just never seemed to take consistent actions from the advice I was giving at the start of my self-improvement journey. I scratched my head over this for years and got so frustrated to the point where I came to the realization you probably have had before, where you can't help people who don't want help. It's a very painful lesson on your self-improvement journey because, you know, your loved ones, obviously you love them, and when they come to you with these complaints and these problems that you have solved for yourself in the past using the lessons from these videos, books, courses, programs, whatever, it's disheartening, it's demotivating, and it makes you think, man, like, if they only listened to my advice, all of these problems would be solved. It's so fucking frustrating. I'm sure that it's out of that frustration that you probably searched up this video, and I've got some good news and some bad news for you. By the way, if it's your first time finding this channel, my name is Ethan, and on this channel, I make videos for young men in the self-improvement depression stage of knowing everything you should be doing because you've binged all of the content already, but you haven't taken consistent action. Because that's where I was for 6 years between 18 and 24 years old, and I'm finally in the middle of becoming a man of action who takes what he learns and immediately implements it into his life consistently and just keeps snowballing up from there. What I'm doing to make that happen is doing the life-changing dopamine detox, which is basically just progressively overloading my delayed gratification and progressively lowering my instant gratification. That's what this entire channel's about. If you're a degenerate who spends way too much time watching self-improvement YouTube, regular video game YouTube, fucking anime, Netflix, porn, whatever, then do yourself a favor and subscribe right now for videos that will give you action-taking tips in every single one that you can accomplish in less than 2 minutes. Anyway, with that out of the way, the good news and bad news. I'll start with the bad news. The bad news is, if you searched onto this video, it's probably because right now you're frustrated that an immediate family member or friend is just not listening to your amazing advice, bro. Like, it just makes so much sense for you. It worked for you in the past and they're just not implementing it, right? The fact of the matter is, you don't have the track record of 1 year minimum of consistent action taking towards self-improvement to have earned kind of the respect, the credibility, whatever you want to say, the proof that what you say actually fucking works. The way that this manifested in my own life is way back in 2020, I lived with my younger brother, right? And when we lived together, he was getting daily rants and lectures, breakfast, lunch, and dinner on everything I had learned on self-improvement in that day of binging hours and hours of videos, right? And the strange thing was, he was actually engaged in the lectures, right? When I would make a good point, he would say, oh, that's interesting. And he would actually find it interesting, but then he would just go back to playing League of Legends for the rest of the night every single time. And this frustrated me, man. I'm not afraid to say there was a point in that year when we lived together where I came to the realization it was very disheartening, and I said, I can't help somebody who doesn't want help. It's painful that this is my own brother, because you never want to give up on friends or family or whatever, but it was disheartening because I would give this advice that I knew would work. It had worked for me in the past. Motivation. How do you force yourself to be motivated? How do you get yourself to take action? Like I would share the points that are probably obvious to you and I now of why you should stop playing video games, and they're fucking using your achievement craving part of your male brain against you. And he would always be interested but never take action, right? The thing was, I noticed that these lectures and rants finally started resonating, and he started taking more action consistently after I had made a year of real progress. After I had spent months applying to jobs, right? Because I had a job at the time, but I was trying to get something that was more in line with my goals, skill sets, passions, etc. And we both know job hunting is a bitch, right? So I really was forcing myself to keep applying, to stay motivated even when I was getting like rejections and etc. And finally, once I had gotten the offer that I was looking for the next job, and it was crazy, I would give great advice that seemed to resonate on an intellectual level, but it didn't resonate into an action-taking level. You know what I mean? But after I had earned the results of some hard work, it's like my words just seemed more valuable when I would give them, because clearly I gained something from these lessons that I talked about on mindset and those things. So if you've been giving great advice to your friends and family to the point where you've gotten so frustrated that you've learned that lesson, you can't help people that don't want help, do not give up on them. I strongly encourage you to stick to your self-improvement. Walk the talk yourself for a year consistently. That's all it takes before your loved ones start actually taking action from this great advice that you're giving them, bro. I know you wanted some answer that's like, how do I get them to listen today? And there is no easy answer. You need to earn the respect and credibility of a guy who does the shit he fucking talks about. I'm getting angry now because I'm speaking to like my younger self right now. And you need to shut up with the advice, especially stop giving it unsolicited. Like if somebody doesn't ask you, hey bro, what do you think I should do about this? Then that's just another huge lesson. Just stop giving people advice unless they ask you, because it's two things. Jordan Peterson taught me this. First is that when you give unsolicited advice, it's very clearly saying, I am more competent at this than you. I am smarter than you essentially, and you need to listen to me. So that's one, which is annoying. And two, they're not even listening. Like you giving unsolicited advice, all that happens from that is that you feel smart and your ego is fed and those things, but they didn't actually listen, so that conversation was really more for you than it was for them. So the action taking mission for today's video is I want you to literally measure how many months have I been consistent on the self-improvement that I've been trying to tell this friend or family member about. For you, it might be 2 months. It might be 0 days that you've stayed consistent on your journaling, your meditating, your gym habits. Whatever your criteria is, you should know in the back of your mind, okay, how long have I been consistent with the self-improvement to the point where I respect myself for it, right? And then take that time and the difference between 1 year and that time. And once you've fulfilled that difference, then I can confidently tell you, I know it's kind of weird because like everybody has different situations and everything, but as a strong confidence interval, 1 year of you taking consistent action should be enough for you to get some preliminary results, like you have something to show for it by then. And I would delay that whole frustration with like, oh, you can't help people who don't want help, blah, blah, blah. Delay that until you've at least earned some credibility of a year of consistent action taking before you start giving up on people, alright? With that, I highly encourage you to take action on this action mission. Don't just think it's interesting, but really measure the amount of time you've stayed consistent on your self-improvement. And if you're afraid you're gonna bitch out and not take serious action from that easy action mission, then you can watch the video that I'll probably put in the top left or something here, which is my video specifically engineered to get you to take action on the lessons you learn in these self-improvement videos the very same day. Click on that one to learn how to get more actual results from these kinds of videos without just binging them mindlessly. And I'll see you in that next video.